My name is Ibrahim Higazi, and I'm the CTO for a company that is called Dark Entry. I'm not sure if presenting in, I would love to present in Russian, of course, but the only thing I know in Russian is как житуха братуха, so I'm not going to speak in Russian. It will only be English presentation today, and I hope you will like it. So today we're going to speak about the dark web monitoring. So it's a buzzy word that we have heard a lot, right? Like AI, everywhere AI, right? Similarly, also the dark web monitoring. So what is the dark web monitoring? What happens on the dark web? How do we at Dark Entry as a company also monitor the dark web? What do we see when we monitor the dark web as well? So this is the agenda for today. We're going to explain the difference between the dark, deep, and surface web, and what you can find on each level of these web internet as well. How do the hackers have hacked like Uber, Cisco, 1Password, the most known companies, Fortune 500. We will also speak about the Russian market, one of the most famous markets where hackers are selling data of compromised computers for employees of companies as well. And how can we validate if your computer is also hacked or not? We are going to give some resources here today. Okay. So first things first, what is the dark web, and what is the deep web, and what's the surface web? In a traditional way, if you are using your own browser, you are navigating to google.com, this is the surface web. A normal browser, a normal internet website that is accessible for everyone. This is what we call the surface web. But then there is also the deep web. A deep web is a bit darker side of the internet. Still, you're using your traditional browser, like Firefox, like Google Chrome, for instance. But to access that website, you need a little bit more access. For example, one of the most known hacking forums was called Darkwood. Darkwood was raided by the FBI back in time, 2012. And back in time, if you want to be part of that forum, you have to first receive an invitation from someone who is inside the forum, like a black hat hacker first. Once you receive the invitation, still you don't see anything. You have to first write a post about yourself. What do you do? For example, I'm a black hat hacker, I can cash out money from PayPal, for instance. Or I do create malwares. I do make the malwares FUD, fully undetectable for malwares, for example. Then another 3 members from the forum would have to vouch for you. Says like, yeah, this is a legitimate black hat hacker. We have done some deals with him. You should allow him into the forum. So still, although this website is accessible from the internet, it's called darkwood.com, it's accessible from your traditional browser like Firefox or Google Chrome, you cannot see any content. So accessible normally, but you cannot see the contents of that website. This is what we call the deep web. But then there is another side of the internet that's called the dark web. So a dark web is mainly .onion websites. So when we say a traditional website, it's .com, .net, .ru, .nl, for instance. But the dark web websites are usually .onion, ends in .onion. .onion means that your traditional browser, like Firefox or Google Chrome, would not understand what that is. So you cannot open a website that ends with .onion from a normal browser. This is why you need a special browser that's called the Tor browser. So the Tor browser would allow you to visit these websites. The Tor works in a way different way, not just like you're visiting a server, your request goes to the backend server. No, in Tor browsing, it's a different case where exit nodes and multiple things, that's very hard to track. So in a normal way, if a threat actor is having a website on the internet, you can try to identify the IP address of that web server on the internet. That's very easy, even with internet machines and non-passive DNS records like VirusTotal. And then you can track the hackers. On the dark web, the way is totally different. Okay, so how was Uber hacked? It was not only Uber, it was multiple companies, but Uber was the largest example because of the damage that happened to Uber back in time. So, usually when you are using Google Chrome, you open Google Chrome, you log into your Gmail account, Google Chrome will start to store or to save a copy of your passwords on the Gmail account. So if I click save to my passwords in Firefox, it will save the password only on my laptop. But in Google Chrome, if you are logged into your Gmail account, it will also save a copy of your passwords on your Gmail account as well. It's a feature that is called password sync. This is a feature by Google Chrome that's called password sync. So as you can think, an employee for Uber from his corporate laptop, he opened Google Chrome, he logs into his personal Gmail account, all his corporate passwords, all his Uber passwords are copied to his Gmail account. Later on, that employee from his home laptop, he downloaded a cracked game. So a game with a crack, basically. And because, of course, if something comes for free, then you are the product. He downloaded a cracked game for free. It had a malware. So his laptop at home was hacked. So where does the connection happen here is because at home, he is logged into the same Gmail account. So the hackers here were able to steal Uber passwords from the home laptop of that employee, because all his Uber passwords were copied to his Gmail account because of a security feature by Google that is called password sync. So now, the hacker is having a zip file or a RAR file that contains all the data stolen from that device. We're going to see it in a few minutes. And that zip file or RAR file do have the passwords of the Uber employee. What would he do with this? In simple words, the hacker didn't know himself that he hacked the Uber employee. He just put his cracked software everywhere on the internet and then spray and pray, waiting for people to get infected. So after that, he extracts the passwords, he put it in a zip file, and then he sells that file. I will go back to this slide, but this is where the hacker was selling access to the Uber employee passwords. This is a website that's called Russian Market. It's very famous for people working in the dark web. This website, what it does here, so what you see here is the malware itself. That's called Luma C2, or Luma overall. This is one of the most famous information stealers. It's called Luma. And then the country here that is hacked or compromised for that laptop is Egypt in that case. And then here would be the websites where you can find basically the links to the passwords of that compromised device. Uber have uber.com, but for the corporate, they have uberinternal.com. So what the hacker did is, hacker visited Russian market, he go to the search bar here, he writes Uber internal, and then he got some machines that is compromised. This file here, this is the zip file we are talking about. They call it log file. If you click here, you see a list of files that is stolen. We will see now the files. And then this file was sold only for $10, like only $10. So the hacker, which was only 18 years old, he goes to Russian market, he searched for Uber internal, he found a compromised employee device for Uber. He bought the zip file for $10, he downloaded it, he found credentials to Uber network VPN. So he have a VPN access to Uber network just for $10. This is still also part of the deep web, right? Because this website is accessible, yes, on the internet, but you cannot see the content unless you pay them $50 to be able to access the website. So again, going back, the same scenario here when we talk about like finding things on the dark web, what we can see. This is a website for the very famous Russian group that's called Lockbit3. Lockbit3 is also became famous in Egypt as well, because they hacked the largest payment gateway in Egypt. It's called Fawari. So that's why they also became famous in Egypt as well. At that time, when we took the screenshot, they were claiming to have hacked Etisalat. Etisalat is the largest mobile operator in United Arab Emirates, in Dubai, UAE. But then it turns out it was not really critical data, so that it was not paid. But what you see here is one of the, for example, the ransomware groups. They hack companies. They offer the data for sale on the dark web or on their dark web website. And then if you want to get the sensitive data or even access to that website, you have to pay us this amount. Also to the clients or to the companies, you have to pay them not to publish your data. And that takes us to a different perspective. How do the ransomware groups operate? In a traditional way, if I tell you ransomware, the first thing that comes to your mind is he encrypts the files, he asks the company to pay money so that he can decrypt it, right? But that's called a single extortion technique. However, for Lockbit 3, they use a technique called double extortion. So they encrypt your files. They also steal a copy of your sensitive data. So now they ask you to pay 2 times. 1 time to decrypt your files, 2nd time not to publish your sensitive data. And there is also a triple extortion technique for which, in addition, they put you under a DDoS attack. So you pay to decrypt your files, you pay not to publish your sensitive data, you pay to stop the DDoS. But for Lockbit 3, they had a double extortion, and this is one example of what you can basically find on the dark web. Going back to the Russian market, when that teenager or the hacker, when he downloaded the zip file, by the way, this website again is accessible from the internet, so anyone can buy a subscription, go search for any company, see their passwords as well. So what was the content of that zip file? When we decompress that file, we see a lot of files. Let's look at it one by one. The first one here is called user information.txt. This file would contain all the data of that computer, like the IP address of the computer, where the malware is, the location, Windows operating system, it's in enterprise Windows or like home Windows, the domain controller name, the local computer name, and so on. And then there is a screenshot. This screenshot is taken by the malware itself. So when you double click the cracked game or cracked software, the malware will take a screenshot from your laptop so that the hacker knows what was the main way he infected all these machines. But for us as dark entry, we collect this as evidence of how this employee was compromised, how he was hacked. The root cause analysis, basically, how he was hacked. And then we see a process list, which includes all the processes running on that computer. And then the most important one, passwords.txt. That includes, when we say passwords.txt, I'll come back again to this one. Well, actually, let's look at it one by one, basically. These are the files. Let's take it again file by file. User information, this is how it looks like. In user information, you can see here that contains the malware location, which is the most important part, like this one here. It's called the file location. This is where the malware is on the machine itself. And at dark entry, this is also how we help companies identify where the malware is on the device without having to investigate the machine. No forensics required, no incident response in a detection way, I would say. And then the rest of the information about the device, like the hardware ID. This file would help the companies answer a very good question. You tell me that one of my employees is hacked. This is his laptop at home, or this is his laptop at the company? Now, using this file, we can answer this question. You can look at the public IP address. You can look, for example, here that he is only using Windows Defender. So this is a home laptop. In companies, they would not only be using Windows Defender, right? They could be using EDR or whatever the other solutions in place. But also you can see the other aspects like the keyboard, here he was not joined to a domain, the username is called Dell, so traditional naming of laptops as well. And then this is the screenshot. This is again a screenshot that is taken by the virus itself, the malware itself. So we can see that the employee have visited a website called saloaudio.com. He downloaded a file called file.7z. What is this file? This file is basically Camtasia screen recorder. It's a software that you can use to record your computer by video or take a screenshot. But in the free version, they add a watermark. How would you go about it? Will you buy the license? Of course not. You will find it cracked, right? I'm just making a joke. Anyway, but yeah, once it is cracked, again, that means you are the product. Because if it comes for free, yeah. So again, he decompressed the file, he executed, he was infected. This is the most important file that I was talking about, passwords.txt. How is the data stolen? It is in the format of URL, username, password, and the application it was stolen from. Now a good question is, what is the source of these passwords? In my computer, I use Firefox. But in Firefox, the passwords are stored encrypted, right? You have a password to decrypt it. So how did the hacker steal it in plain text from my browser? Google Chrome, Firefox, whatever it takes. That's one. Second thing is the key logging. Basically, in key logging, he would be storing all the usernames and passwords you write in HTML form. That's second. And the third part, which is the most important one, is the passwords that was copied to your Gmail account. Remember when I talked about Uber that the passwords of the employees copied to his Gmail? That's the same thing here. How do we know this? Look at this one here. This is an Android application of Facebook, username and password. If we say this data was stolen from Google Chrome, how come this is Android application, right? Think about it. That employee was using Android phone. On Android phone, you are required to log in using a Gmail. And that employee logged into the same Android using the same Gmail. So same Gmail on Android, same Gmail on Uber laptop, same Gmail on home laptop. So if the hacker compromised his home laptop, he was able to steal the passwords from his phone, his corporate laptop, and his home laptop as well. And this is why you are able to see some Android application credentials in here. And when it comes to the question of how he was able to steal these, although it was encrypted, that's very easy. This is a malware running on the machine. He will wait for you to authenticate. The password will then be stored in memory, and because he is having access to the memory, he will copy the password and be able to decrypt it as well. Oh, works. Cool. Now the most important question. In many cases, when we do a proof of concept or a demo to companies, what they say is like, okay, passwords is stolen. We have two-factor authentication. But here, in this case, it's useless. Two-factor authentication is super useless. Why? Because this is not just a username and password stolen. It is a compromised laptop. So let me ask you a question. When you open Facebook, do you see the home page, or does Facebook every time ask you for a two-factor authentication? Usually, I will only see the home page, right? I authenticate one time, then I can see the content of the Facebook. But then how did Facebook know that it's me, Ibrahim, who have authenticated before, who have provided also his two-factor authentication before? That's using the session or the cookies that we see here. It's random values, so we can see HSBC Bank, for example, here, and then the cookies of HSBC. What does that mean? That means if me as a hacker, I copy this, I add it to my browser, I go to hsbc.com.eg, I am logged in already on behalf of that compromised user. So this is why we say two-factor authentication in this case is useless, because the hacker will steal the session and the cookies, use it in his own browser, visit any website he wants to log in, basically. No credentials required, no two-factor authentication required. Okay, the good question that we ask all the time is, if you have access to 1 million computer, like you have a malware, you manage to infect, let's not say 1 million, 100,000 computers, what you will be looking for? What is it as a hacker you would be willing to collect or to do with these 100,000 computers? In the most cases, we saw people going, of course, behind money. So money means credit cards, PayPal accounts, bank accounts, whatever they can use to make money out of it. But what if that computer does not have a credit card or even a bank account? Then the next thing is the social media accounts. So in a social media account, he is adding this social media account, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it takes, as part of a larger botnet. So one hacker controls 100,000 Facebook accounts, because he hacked their computers, right? So if you have a Facebook page, I can make 100,000 likes on your Facebook page. If you if you want to change the trend in Moscow or the trend in Egypt or the trend in Netherlands, I have 100,000 Facebook account that can post about only one topic, and they can comment about the same topic positively or negatively, right? And this is, by the way, how the US election was hacked. It was not actual hack. It was tens of thousands of Facebook accounts posting about certain topic, voting for Trump, saying some positive things about Trump, negative things about the other woman. I don't recall her name anyway. So yeah, but this is how you can change also the mindset of the public people, right? Because if I am here, I see food and I see 10 people saying this is delicious food, I do not have to confirm. If 10 people say this is delicious food, it is delicious food, right? Even if I try it, it's not delicious, I will think it's a mistake in me that I don't like it, but the other people like it. It's 10 people, so it's delicious, right? That's the same thing. This is why they also go behind social media accounts. Cookies, we explained about this already. Targeted access is similar to what happened with Uber. So I collect passwords for companies like Uber Internal, like United Airlines, like any company, like Google, any company. And then I sell this, like, hey, do you want to hack Uber? I will tell you the username and password to a VPN employee on Uber, for example. And then, of course, the personal identifiable information, or PII. This is a data that they collect to sell to marketing companies, so that marketing companies knows what to sell to whom and those kind of things. Okay. This is the part of the security of if I'm looking to secure myself from similar attacks, what do I need to do and how would I do it? In most cases, and by the way, in dark entry, we have access to 25 billion record. Not 25 billion person, but record. So one person could have 1,000 username and password on many websites, right? So 25 billion records. The root cause we identified was leaked because of this, was cracked software. So if we are looking to secure ourselves, number one is like, do you use cracked software? You use a cracked game, right? Yeah, I think at some point you always had to use a cracked game/software for any reason. So, of course, saying not to use a cracked software is a very cliche. And then, of course, the phishing websites. And nowadays, what the hackers are doing on Facebook is that they would compromise the very famous website, web page on Facebook, any page, but it had the verified logo. And once they had a verified logo, they changed the Facebook name to something like Google AI. And then they ask you to download a file that will give you or grant you a free access to the beta version of Google AI. Now, because I see this is a verified page and I see 100,000 likes on that post, I will blindly download the file and execute it on my machine. But again, that's a malware. So you have to always validate what you are looking at. You have to also validate what you are logging in. One very good domain that we saw used in phishing on Facebook, you see facebook.com, but that website was called face and then BTOOK, Facebook. But because the URL is long, people will never be able to identify it. Again, have a closer look at the domain name as well as a good option. Never use a cracked software. We talked about this one. Yeah, if it's too good, it's not true. A scam that happens all the times, that messages on Telegram or on Facebook, they tell you like, hey, if you download this software, you're gonna have, I don't know, $300 as a survey or something. Again, if it's too good, it's not true. Now the question is, how can I make sure if my computer was hacked before or not? If I'm asking, how do I know if my email was leaked before or not? There is a website very famous called Have I Been Boned, right? But if you type your email in the website that is called Have I Been Boned, it will only search, it will mainly search in third parties. Like, I registered in LinkedIn, LinkedIn was hacked, my passwords were stolen from LinkedIn. But it's not my computer who was hacked, right? And that's why, I will come back to this slide again. And that's why we thought about it differently in dark entry. I will explain it in the next slide. But now when we talk to people about like compromised devices, dark web monitoring, those kind of things, people will always say, okay, I have the best security team in my company. We have all the security solutions, firewall and everything. What can you do more than what they are already doing? And are you replacing them or not? The answer will always be no. We do not replace companies. We actually complete what they are doing. Because human is always the weakest part of the chain. You could have the best security team, you could have all the security solutions in place, still a not aware employee will download attachment. He will get an error message or a warning message that says, this is a file downloaded from the internet. Are you sure you want to execute it? Yes. So no matter what is the security you have in place, think about Uber. Uber, they had the best security team. They have security operations team monitoring 24/7. They have all the security solutions and controls and GRC and whatever it takes in place. Still, they were compromised because a home laptop of employee was hacked. So For the corporate assets, they have full visibility, but for the home laptop, they had zero visibility. That's what we do at Dark Entry in order to cover this part. Now, this is we open it for free. So if you go to www.darkentry.net, this is the website. You can type your company email or company domain name or even your personal email. Here, we are not going to tell you if your password was hacked or not. No. We're going to tell you if your computer was hacked or not. Is your company hacked or not? So if I work for Vodafone, for example, and then I type here in the search bar Vodafone.com, and then click on search, that will tell me if Vodafone.com as a domain name had employees hacked and their data are being sold on the dark web or not. Now, if I search my email, higazi@darkentry.net, and then I hit the search bar. Now it will tell me if that computer of higazi@darkentry.net was hacked or not. Either it's his computer at home or his computer at work as well. Again, this is a free search, which means you can do it unlimited. You will not see the actual data. However, if you hit the request free demo, you can of course have access to that data if you are working for that company for sure. This is part of what the data contains: corporate domain names, corporate personal emails, searches across billions of records, 25 billion records, and then the compromised devices logs, not third parties. Again, compo-lists and ULBs, which is a type of data leaks that is about a text file that contains URL, username, and password. This is also searchable using the same website. These are my contact details. In case you have any questions, you are more than welcome to reach out. Thank you. Yes, you had a question, please? Maybe someone can give him the mic.
Good afternoon. At the beginning, you mentioned how Uber system was broken because one employee used the same Google account on his work laptop and the home laptop.
Yeah.
Would you say that the whole practice of using synchronizing your home laptop and work laptop is, in general, is bad? And would you have some precaution measures about it? What's your opinion on it?
Yeah. So the question says, if Uber employee was hacked because he had to sync his passwords from the corporate laptop to the home laptop, the sync feature, is it something bad? Unfortunately, yes. So if I'm syncing my passwords from my home laptop to the corporate laptop, it is fine. Why? Because corporate laptops would have all the security controls in place, EDR, data loss prevention, security team monitoring, but copying my corporate data to my personal laptop, no, that's very bad. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah, that's a very good question. So the question here says, why don't we recommend to use a one-time credit card payment, right? I used to manage the cybersecurity team at Visa, the Visa payment company, for 3 years. The team that I was responsible for was the tokenization team. It's actually what you're talking, the same exact thing that you're talking about. But here, security is not a bulletproof. It's not one single thing you can do. If I give here the recommendations, for example, to use a strong password or something, that's like we are trying to make it harder for the threat actors. Yes, what you said was a good option, but only to secure the credit cards, right? But what about the other things like credentials, access to PayPal, for example, access to bank account? It's a different story. Yeah, but thanks for the suggestion. Yeah. Please.
So in the beginning of your presentation, you defined a deep web website as a website that requires additional barrier to look at the information. So you can access the website but can't see the information on it. How is it different from any website that requires registration or maybe like a news article that's paid for?
Yeah.
They consider deep web too, or?
You consider it, sorry?
Are they considered deep web? also, because they also require registration or
I
payment.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah?
So in a normal way, you could have some websites on the internet that is accessible if you pay something, right? But then in a normal website, not a deep web website, you would be paying using your credit card, your PayPal account, right? However, on the Russian market, the only way to pay is through cryptocurrency. So it's USDT, Bitcoin. This is to make sure they are anonymized as well. So this is also part of why not everyone would have cryptocurrency to pay, right? It's a different story. That's why it's still, yes, accessible from the internet, but not everyone can access it. Yeah. Please.
Hello, Bragim. Thank you for your research. So I'm wondering, I've checked quickly your website, and I've seen that you're constantly getting like 24/7 updates from the leakage feeds and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
As far as I know, URLs in the dark web are changing constantly, and well, from time to time, new domain appears, others disappear, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Are you using some sort of an automated tooling to update the URLs which you're searching through to get the data, or is it done manually?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the question says that some of these websites on the dark web will change a lot, right? Like even Lockbit3, they had so many mirrors website because the FBI or any other agencies will take it down from time to time, right? So one, dark web is not only referring to websites. It could also be a closed Telegram group somewhere. Sorry. When we say dark web, deep web, surface web, we mean so many things. But with regards to only your question, this is part of the data we collect. We took 9 months to write our engine. Why 9 months to collect it automated? Because it's not only about websites goes down. It could be also incredible threat actors. What if it's a website for hackers that they publish garbage data, right? So we also need to score these hackers. That's second. Third is what if they use CAPTCHA. Like Russian market, they use CAPTCHA. Still, we managed to bypass it to be able to automate the process. That's one thing. But also, what about if they use Cloudflare, Imperva, and so on? That's like why it took us 9 months to be able to automate the process. So yes, the process has to always be automated. Otherwise, you are way prone. You cannot do it manual. No. Hope that answers your questions.
I've just heard that you said that dark web domains are also using Cloudflare. Is it so? Is it possible?
It is, yes.
Through a proxy, or in what way?
Now, again, like when I say dark web, I mentioned multiple sources, right? It's not only the forums, and when I say dark web as a technology, it refers to everything that we monitor. That includes the dark web, the surface web, and the deep web as well. So the dark web as a .onion website, you cannot use Cloudflare for sure.
Okay, thank you.
And by the way, on the dark web, that's onion websites, you do not need to hide because it already goes through like the exit nodes of the Tor network, so you don't have to hide it. Yeah, sorry.
First of all, thank you very much. My question is about the future of the dark web. After Pavel Durov's arrest in France, we observed some discussions among the cybercriminals about the future. Will they stay in Telegram closed channels, or will they use restricted websites or some other platforms? What's your opinion about the future?
Yeah, it's like that, because this question is a very good question. I hear it a lot. What if the dark web goes down? It feels like you're asking me, what if hackers stops to create malware? Will that ever happen? No. Every day you see new malwares, right? That's the same thing. If a website goes down, think about Silk Road, for instance. It was the most famous one, like on the dark web, Silk Road. They were doing drug dealing, they were doing like selling weapons and so on. Still, although it goes down, like 10 other websites goes up. So it will never finish, I would say. Well, hackers will do what hackers will do.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. We have room for one more question.
Yeah, I'm right here, to the left.
To the left side.
Yes.
Sorry.
Hello, Bragim.
The lights here, okay.
Yeah, I'm a little bit shiny right now. So, first of all, thanks for the interesting report. I hope the Moscow treating you well. But my question is, you showed some vendor that is showing what is leaking like the country. But I know that there is like two companies, SockRaider.io and Hudson Rock, but it only shows if you write them from the domain email. Is there any vendors that can sell the full ULP by searching the domain. I know only two, it's Akula and SteelSeek, I think. Are there any other vendors? My question is, thank you.
So when you are talking about like downloading, you mean for free or paid?
Either way.
Yeah, paid, of course, everyone does it, including dark entry. But for free, no.
No, I'm talking about commercially selling for security.
Yeah, exactly. Commercially speaking, if you are the owner of that domain, every company will allow you to see all the records for that domain. Yeah, and download it, of course, yes.
Oh yeah, but I'm talking from the point of not the owner of the domain, but penetration tester who wants to buy the stealer logs of said company for an actual
No, I get the question.
Yeah.
Yes. So the question is, if I'm a penetration tester and I'm doing a pen testing for any company, let's say Vodafone. Now I want to search for the data leaks for Vodafone and be able to download it to use it in my pen testing, right? So there is not one single answer for this question because we have thought about this scenario a lot. Why would I give you to the data of Vodafone if you are not able to verify that you are doing that for them? So for that, to do it at dark entry, for example, we ask you to give us authorization from the client. So if Vodafone, for example, gives you authorization to view their data because of a pen test, then we will hand you the data. But some other companies, they will give you the data no matter what. They don't care if you are the owner of the domain or not, if you are doing a pen test or not. They will do it like Socradar, for example. Yeah. Which again, like, we are a Dutch company, we are based in Amsterdam. If we do this, this is illegal. They close our company next day. We cannot do like what Socradar is doing. This is illegal, I'm telling you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, cool. Okay, more questions? Thanks so much.